like, I'm not a socialist. This is the funny thing. I've become a far centrist, actually. It's funny, I met Leo Varadkar last night and we had a really interesting conversation.
In order to not be considered British, we need to stop acting British.
Erin Gabra was the symbol of the United Irishmen, and yet she wasn't wearing a bra. So I have a symbol.
I don't think bras have been invented then yet.
Well, Erin Gabra, I have a bra on the harp with tits for Erin Gabra, and then I've Erin Gano bra.
So today we have a very important topic to discuss. Aideen, as we both know, as the educated internet reading women that we are, a recent poll this year in Northern Ireland showed that voters under 45 were likely to vote for a united Ireland if there were a border poll to come up.
Yeah, how would you vote, Louise?
I would vote, thank you for the I would definitely vote for a united Ireland. I don't think it would be without its challenges, don't get me wrong, but I would vote for a united Ireland, and I hope we see it in our lifetimes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're doing fairly well up in the north. The whole being put huish or suppressed. The language is blowing. They've got kneecap. They've got amazing stuff going on. It's cool because they don't have to do it because they want to do it. So maybe let's let them spin out there another bit on their own for a while. I jest. I'm massively into a UI, United Ireland.
UI, not UTI. We have to clarify
I have those as well.
Yeah, we have those two, and we would also vote to end them. But we
Yeah.
would vote to have UI. So, and it seems, this sort of seemed like, I think even a few years ago, a lot of people here in down south would have sort of said, yeah, but it's not going to happen, or it's too complicated, where it feels a little bit more realistic now. I mean, even Leo Varadkar, so former Taoiseach and former leader of Fine Gael, has said, we need to be doing more to push for this sooner, which that is just not a position Fine Gael would have had in the past.
No, the bluest of blue shirt. I mean, basically Fine Gael just are like, watch UTV. That's about the most contribution they have to a united Ireland. But it's starting right now. It's in this generation. We could have it. So we need to find out more and what we can do and what it's going to be like. We've got a very special guest today. It is Paddy Cullivan. He's a historian. He's a musician. He's a great comedian, and he does these fantastic historical shows all over the country, and one of them now is about the future of Ireland, and he means a united Ireland.
So we are going to say, Paddy, can we just ask,
what are we going to do about a united Ireland? Paddy, thank you so much for joining us today. Now, you are fresh from a massive gig last night. Tell us about it.
I was in Belfast with Ireland's Future, which is a kind of a civic group dedicated to talking about a united Ireland, the future of Ireland. And it involves everybody. Though everybody was there. There was panels with, Leo Varadkar was there doing a one-on-one. Mary Lou McDonald was there. Ivana Bacik was there. So a lot of political people were there. People from the arts in the north and the south, and discussing the future. And just lots of really very nice people who are all coming together to talk about what's happening. We had there was about 4,500 tickets sold.
Oh, wow.
And then there was, I'd say about 3,500 turned up. This is happening at gigs everywhere. I don't know why it's going on. Just, here's the money, but it's sunny now and I don't want to go to anything. But I got up and did 20 minutes from my I Can't Believe It's Not Ireland show, which is my own show about a future united Ireland. But I've used AI imagery to show a new capital in Athlone, a brand new flag. It's very hard sell, I know. But the only way you'll ever get Cork people to visit Belfast is by having the capital in Athlone. Okay. Like, you'll never get them to Belfast because Belfast has a proper parliament. Stormont is a proper purpose-built parliament. It's a beautiful building, but you'll never get Cork people to go there.
Why Cork people in particular?
Because they think Northern Ireland starts in Southern Tipperary. They don't even know what those 6 counties are in the north. They're just freaked out by that.
The borders are artificial, I mean, this they understand in Cork.
And it has nothing to do with them, so they don't care.
Yet they are probably one of the more staunchly Republican counties.
Yeah, but also one of the most West Brit, which is hilarious. I listened to the West Cork podcast recently with the Ian Bailey thing, and every single voice is English. It's hilarious.
that's true,
It could be in the Cotswolds.
I'm Cork, born and bred.
Yeah, I'm from Cork. Yeah, I love Cork. I sell my own jams.
Preserves.
Preserve. Oh yeah. Sorry, I got that wrong. For only $6.99 a jar, and I know it was great. So I love. It's a great event. It's a bunch of very nice people came together. Niall Murphy, Jerry Carlisle, people like Francis Black, Senator Francis Black was a member of it too. You know, Martina Devlin, people like that were all members. So and then we had this great day. I tore the house down. I sang my brand new anthem. I have a brand new anthem for Ireland called "Oh Hibernia."
You've really sorted this out on a micro level.
Everybody was there. Mary Lou was there. Jerry was there. Wallace Thompson was there, the head of the Evangelical Church.
Wow.
Who was also supporting
Oh, good for them.
United Ireland.
Okay.
Even David Adams, a former loyalist paramilitary, who wants to talk about it too. Jimmy Nesbitt's been there before. So in the north,
Were like just all this, because this is quite the cast of characters you're
Yeah.
painting here. They were all in favour of United Ireland, or they were there to sort of say Ulster says no?
no, they're in favour of saying we got to talk about the future. Like
Okay.
honestly, it's. I know it sounds like talks about talks, but actually a lot of them are in favour. John Alderdice was there, like from the Alliance Party. So they're all just look. I think they've all realised the Brits are done with them, and that's it. And like no more funding will even come from there anymore. So they have to start thinking, and very quickly. And like anyone who says it's going to be 10 years from now or 20 years from now is mad, because things move very, very quickly.
What's your bet on a time frame then?
Saturday, June 1st, 2030 is the date of the election.
Okay, we'll set up a reminder for everyone.
when we vote, and in the north they'll vote 61% in favour of United Ireland. This is all in my show. 77% in the south in favour, which combined, because I'm a child, forms the number 69%.
Hey.
Yay.
So tell us, if you had the power for your ideal United Ireland now, magic wand, what is it? What does the ideal United Ireland look like to Paddy Cullivan?
Highly like I'm not a socialist. This is the funny thing. I've become a far centrist, actually. Yeah.
So were you a socialist before?
Well, everybody says that because they don't really know what it means.
Yeah.
And then you go and try and book art centres and stuff and don't get a reply for 6 months, or an out of office reply, or I'm on annual leave. And anytime you're dealing with the state, it seems to take forever to do everything. So I'm done with the state, and I'm a far centrist, whatever that means.
Okay.
I mean, it's funny. I met Leo Varadkar last night, and we had a really interesting conversation. And I just said, I want to thank you, because when that John Fitzgerald, the son of Gareth Fitzgerald, the son of Desmond Fitzgerald, it sounds like a Norman invasion.
I was say, son of born of.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the Docu Book Festival, and there was Dave McWilliams and Finn McRedmond. I was thinking of calling myself Desmond McRedmond just to fit in, like a Norman knight.
Well, if you have a Norman name, you earn 10 grand more on average a year.
I
And
didn't
if
know
you have
that.
an O or a Mac in your name, yeah. I totally made that statistic up, but there is a
really
slight
convincing.
correlation. And in England, definitely, those with Norman names have more land, for sure.
Is that why you call yourself McQueen?
That is why I call myself McQueen. That just elevates me. I can charge 50 quid extra for a gig.
But what is Darmody a Norman name?
Darmody, it's O'Diarmida or Nick Niarmida, which
All
means
you need to do is put a D
Apostrophe.
Armody, and then you sound Norman.
thank you so much for that.
yeah.
And I look Norman, I hope.
You are. So you earn an extra 10 grand right now just by doing that. So I was talking to Leo Varadkar, and it was funny because I wanted to thank him, because John Fitzgerald had come up with this old tripe that it would cost 20 billion a year for 20 years to pay for United Ireland, and he brought that out just to, piss in everyone's tea, and then so that the people of Dunleary Ratdown could cuddle their wallets a little tighter in bed and go, oh great, we won't have those nasty, horrible Nordy people. Oh, thank you, John Fitzgerald. And actually, Leo Varadkar came out and said, no, if it costs 2 or 3% of GDP to have a United Ireland, isn't it worth it?
It's worth it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was lovely. David McWilliams himself has said it's cheap at the price, because we already spend 110 billion a year in this country on 5.5 million people. So an extra 20 billion for 2 million, you're getting two for the price of one. You're getting two people for one.
Do you think the people of Dalkey, Dunleary are scared of the North? Because I think maybe if they focused more on the middle class people in Northern Ireland that enjoy tennis and jam and
croquet.
making like themselves.
Yeah.
And there's a
And
lot
harvest
of cricketers.
fairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's funny, because I was out in Dalkey one time, and it was the Monday after, and I'm sitting with David and Shan, and one of Shan's friends comes out and says, she's from the north as well, and a Protestant. She goes, but how do we make the South a welcoming place for unionists? And I just looked around. We were sitting outside Finnegan's, having had white wine. The sun was beating down. the place looks like $1 million favela built by Protestants for Protestants. As in, you know, every...
Names like Vico Road.
Names like Michael Road. And I said, how do we make it a welcoming... And David just turned around and goes, it's a cold house. Which it fucking isn't. I mean, the place was built... Like, the first part of my show is where I find a Protestant coming down for the first time on holidays to the south and just discovering how English the whole place is.
Yeah, there's not that
You
much
know,
difference.
No, it's like he goes up to the Royal College of Surgeons, the Royal College of Music, the Royal Hibernian Academy, the Royal Irish Academy, the RIA, of which Jerry Adams also has never been a member. And like, he just discovers how British the whole place looks and is already.
I know, that's the thing. People are always complaining whenever an Irish actor is misnationalised as being British. Cillian Murphy is British, and people get so upset. It's Irish, doesn't he know? We don't act that Irish. Start
No.
speaking the language, start singing a few jigs and reels,
There you go.
doing a bit of a dance.
girl, where's
bit
your
of
tin whistle?
GAA. Yeah, where's your Fadog Stán? Like, I'm walking the walk, I'm speaking Irish every day,
Mahu.
dancing around to my
Mahu, Rinka.
Yeah.
But we in order to not be considered British, we need to stop acting British.
I know, but you still dress and look like a member of the Bloomsbury group from the late teens. You know,
Yeah, but she speaks Irish to the ghost of Virginia
like
Woolf.
you would have been perfect in 1918 as one of those kind of suffragette coming them on, you know, people. You know,
Thank you for really dating. I thought it was retro to the 70s. I'm retro to the 1870s. Thanks, Paddy.
nothing wrong with
Timeless,
that.
Aideen. It's timeless.
It's my favorite. I mean, it's
Okay.
you know, but it's like Midnight in Paris. You know, like, you know, when he goes back to the 20s and he meets a woman who's it's not as cool now. It was much better in the 1890s. Belle Epoque way cooler than Hemingway hanging around. Oh, come on, guys. But no. So I talked to Leo, and it was funny, and the weird stuff came out of him as well. And I was saying, it's so strange, isn't it, that money seems to matter? And he goes, yeah, but we're different. You know, rich people here are still offended and horrified by child poverty, whereas in Britain they will actually blame the parents. It was very funny stuff coming out of
wow.
him. But and then I said the whole left and right thing has gone mad anyway. Like, I'm gone far centrist.
Yeah.
And he says, well, and it was funny, like, he took it seriously. I was joking, and he didn't laugh. And he said, well, left and right, it's like a line. Whereas really it's more like a kind of a hexagon. It's more like a 3D thing. You know, we're all a little bit left, we're all a little bit right. And his analysis was perfect. And like I said, I like this guy. Now that he's resigned the Taoiseach, I want him to join Sinn Féin. I think Leo could join Sinn Féin tomorrow
That
and fit
would
in
be
really well.
amazing.
That'd be
I
the
said
move
it to
no
Mary
one was
Lou yesterday. I
expecting.
said, that guy needs a home. Get him a home. And he's kind of, you know, and I liked him. I have to say I
He's
liked him.
young. I mean, he's only early 40s.
And he's been very good on United Ireland.
Yeah.
He's always at the Ireland's Future things. There was a lot of American guys there who I loved, Ancient Order Hibernian guys. And
And what do they do?
they're just supporting the whole move towards United Ireland. The problem is no one's thinking about it. No one's talking about it in an official capacity down here. But on the north, everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
And even the first time I did my show, I did it in Dalkey on February the 3rd as part of the Dalkey Comedy Festival. And a woman came and saw it and then booked me into Sandy Cove Tennis Club. And so I ended up doing this United Ireland show for a bunch of wealthy people in a tennis club. And they were going, that's very interesting. Now, I think it's because they were worried about their wallets.
Yeah.
But also, I think they're just genuinely thinking about it, you know, from an interested point of view. And as you said, there is a lot of those people like people in Dalkey, posh people in the north who just go, well, where are we better off? And all I'm saying in my show is that the Protestants had perfect right in 1920 to say, oh God, we got to separate from this bunch. Because we're like the Silicon Valley of the world, Belfast, and it's an agrarian place down south. But now we're the rich place, and
Yeah.
they just naturally gravitate towards rich things.
And the money talks, and even if you're a tight arse Presbyterian dairy farmer, you know, and you could be very religious, you could be a massive Ian Paceyite, but if you're getting more for your milk down south,
That's
More
it.
for your milk. That's
Yeah.
a good sort of little informational slogan.
more for your
Would you
milk.
like more for your milk?
And they were subsidised by the EU. I did a wedding a few years ago with a bunch of North Antrim dairy farmers, and they were saying, we're not getting our subvention anymore. So
After Brexit,
we
they
don't
lost all the
like
cap.
Brexit. So we might have to think about voting for
Yeah.
United Ireland.
And they were screwed over by the United Kingdom in the whole Brexit situation.
But it's that simple. Like it is. Like Protestants have changed their mind 4 times. 1798, when a bunch of them said, no, we need to, unite Protestant, Catholic and Dissenter, get rid of the king and have a republic. 1834, when they rejected Daniel O'Connell and Catholic emancipation and came together, they were anti-union up to that point. They became pro-union because they didn't like the idea of a Catholic parliament or home rule and Rome rule, and that's exactly what we got in 1922. Then they changed their mind in 1913 when home rule was about to happen, and they declared a Republic of Ulster, effectively. No one knows this. They issued a proclamation for the province of Ulster. And then they change their mind again for the fourth time in 2030 when they vote overwhelmingly for a united Ireland. Because I always talk in the past about the future.
I love this.
Ooh,
And also, obviously,
manifesting.
transubstantiation was one of their biggest mind changes as well in the past.
Well, possibly, but I don't even know what that means. I mean, I think the new Catholic Church is climate change, to be honest with you. Because, I mean, Greta von Thunberg, McQuaid, you know, all the same things that you have in the Catholic Church are in climate change. So you have a fiery end if you don't behave yourself, right? You must live frugally, you know, and you know, recycling is another.
Unless you go to Davos, unless you're at the upper echelons,
Yeah.
then you may
Yeah, well,
have the riches.
Well, John Charles McQuaid also had a house in Killiney with a big telescope
Exactly.
looking into other people's houses, but kind of dressed down, and from Cavan as well, which I love. I love ostentatious Cavan people because my dad's from Cavan, and it doesn't suit them. And but the Catholic Church, like, you have a fiery end if you don't behave yourself. If you don't live frugally and recycle and do all of that, you know, if you do all that stuff, you'll have a better hereafter. And then the date of the end of the world keeps changing like Easter.
Yeah, and then you buy your indulgences by buying your Tesla.
Yeah.
By
Exactly.
I think really, I remember my parents when we were younger, they would notice if somebody didn't have a holy water font at the door, you know.
Okay.
And now, if somebody doesn't
It's like,
have
do
the
you have solar
recycling,
panels?
yeah, people don't have a recycling bin. It's so embarrassing. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah,
I'm
and-
like, sorry, where do I put this? And then they take it from me like, oh, we just.
So we'll do. Don't worry, I'll sort it later.
Yeah.
You won't. No, you
And
won't.
COVID was an adjunct of the Catholic Church as well, because the spraying of the hands was very like the holy
Oh,
water as you
yeah.
go into church. And then there was
Beautiful
lots of
ritual.
like, put on your mask, take off your mask, put on your mask. It was all like the kneel, stand, sit down thing going on, and you know, and like slogans like hold firm, you know, you could imagine a priest going hold firm, hold firm. And this isn't to say, sorry, because I know I sound like a climate skeptic.
Yes, you do.
You do slightly, yeah.
Yeah, but it's gloriously nippy June. Look, it's a bit like the Catholic Church. I don't know for sure.
But there's this. It's a really.
But I'm
conspiracy
hedging my
theory.
bets, so I'm going to do all the nice. I'm really into recycling. I'm really into recycling and
Yeah.
cleanliness and especially pollution. I hate pollution. I hate water pollution. I hate plastic pollution. All of that stuff. But I want solutions. I want that kid in Cork who found a way of getting microplastics out of the sea.
Great, yeah.
I don't want to be paying like 200 quid carbon tax and have it flying into Eamon Ryan's plane bill.
This is why it is very important. Cork is part of the United Ireland because they have that child who can collect the plastic.
Well, absolutely,
So,
and even and Belfast has the interconnector, by the way, for all the wind energy, which we don't have.
Okay.
So that's why we need United Ireland as well. But don't tell them I said that.
Okay.
We want to get that stuff, and that's very important. But, yeah, and of course in my new anthem, O Hibernia, I have cherish all the children from the Lagan to the Lee.
oh, beautiful.
And I put the Lee in there because you have to. Because if you don't mention
They have
them,
to feel seen.
if they have to feel seen.
I
to
love
feel
the way
seen.
you treat Cork like the whole county is like a special needs child that needs all this extra attention and love.
Yeah, well, it is, yeah, and it just needs tender, loving care. Do you know what I mean? Because it will be underwater in 20 years.
We've talked a little bit now about like what the people of Dalkey would feel about a united Ireland.
Yeah.
What do you think about the rest of the south?
Well,
Moving outside of South County Dublin plus Howth.
well, you see, the reason I'm doing my show as well, it's all that, you know, that Beyonce thing. You know, got to keep it tight, got to keep it right. If you see it, you can be it. So my show is about if you can see the future. That's why I've made all these AI images and stuff. So I'm showing that, you know, the first thing we do is make the capital in Athlone with a beautiful circular parliament, based on the green on at Aliach, you know, because the ancient Celtic form of circular building. And the way that the lovely bonfires on the 12th of July in the north are built in a circular fashion.
Beautiful.
So we bring the two together.
You make it out of pallets, perhaps.
Yeah,
There's still a little
kind of
ode.
permanent pallets, and have a parliament there, and then we build a thing called the Schnachter Piercer, which is a high speed rail that just goes around Ireland all night long, all day long. It's 24 hours a day,
Wow.
and you get between Galway to Athlone is 15 minutes, Athlone to Dublin is 50 minutes. You know, in Spain they've got up to 600 kilometer speed with high speed rail.
Wow.
So you could get from Belfast to Galway in 40 minutes. Belfast to Dublin, 15 minutes. Everything is 15-minute cities, but not that old green shite with bikes and everything. It's actual 15 minutes between each city.
Wow.
Okay.
All bike lanes, of course, will be put underground in tunnels.
Okay, right.
Because if it's not about being seen in your gear and exercise and look how good I am, then you don't need to be seen,
How
do you?
is this?
Unlike Cork, they don't need to be seen, don't they? They're doing it for the environment. It's not about being seen,
It's
isn't
not
it?
about me.
Okay,
It's about something
tell me
bigger.
this, Paddy. If you had what? So there's two separate cultures we're talking about bringing together: the North and the South, Protestant and Catholic, Unionist and Nationalist. What would be the best qualities of nationalist people or Catholics or whatever you want, and the best qualities of Protestantism that you would like to see joined together in this utopia?
To be honest, I just want the attributes of the Northern Protestant. So I want tidy roads. I got off the train in Belfast yesterday, it was spotless, absolutely spotless. The South looks like the end of Logan's Run at the moment. Under the excuse of, for the bees, we're not going to cut any weeds and we're going to let the place look like fucking Walking Dead here. Up there, the place is spotless because they obviously hire about 50,000 people to just pick up litter and clean everything because of a big public service in the north. Mm-hmm. I believe in that. I believe in things like that, and the tray bakes, the beautiful flower displays on windowsills, just painting the place freshly. A lot of Irish towns look really apocalyptic at the moment.
Really?
And it's down to the people.
As opposed to having pictures of the Union Jack and William of
No,
Orange
there are parts of, I will give you that.
What
but
about
just
the murals?
I want the posh Protestant
Protestants,
ethos.
okay.
I want I have a place in Gorlahork, which I love, and then Falcarra is a nice enough town, but then Dunfanaghy is just a glorious Protestant town, and they just have the place looking great. So I want to bring that to Ireland. I want to turn all of Ireland into Dalkey. When people wake up in Dalkey and they just roll out of bed onto the Dart and they think the whole world has public transport. They think Nina has that kind of public transport. I had to get from Ballycotton to Nina once and I said, I'm not going to drive, I'm going to use public transport. 3 buses.
No.
3 buses.
God.
One of which was Ballycotton to Cork, then Cork to Limerick, and then the bus that was leaving for Nina left 5 minutes before the bus to Limerick arrived in. And that was it. That was the only bus for the day.
And some of those buses, they're not even on Google Maps. You just have to know the woman.
John,
who knows
John
the
drives
man.
it.
Yeah, sure, John will leave when he'll leave. Yeah, it's
That's
not
it.
Flag John down.
Yeah. And one of them stopped in Mitchelstown for 20 minutes and they had to spend 20 minutes getting a guy who was passed out drunk on the back of the bus to get him off the bus. Like, there's a tough world out there. And I was trying to explain that last night. Like, I was on Dalkey Main Street the other day and I was looking at this going like, this is like Nero fiddling while Rome burns, because outside, over that hill, the whole place is completely different. I'm not doing down Ireland. There's loads of money. There's loads of everything. It's just not running correctly. Like where I live in, I'm with my parents a good bit in Galway, in Furbo now at the moment. And they just resurfaced the road for the first time in 6 years. It was just pothole central. It was like Mad Max. And they just resurfaced it in time for the election. And that's what everybody says.
Okay.
There's an election coming up.
So why, if we have all this money
Yeah.
and we have all these resources and we're paying a lot of tax,
Yeah.
where is the money going to? Why are we so
Great
bad at
question.
getting this public service that they have in the north so efficiently?
Yeah, I think it's going into annual leave emails. I think all the time and energy is going into emails that tell you you're not available to talk right now.
Okay.
There's a huge amount of non-productivity, but a huge amount of productivity going into explaining
something that- okay.
non-productivity.
I love that no one has really taken this cause on before, Paddy. It's great that it's finally getting a bit of attention.
I'm the only one who really has noticed the kind of, is will anyone answer their emails in this country anymore? I think COVID had a huge amount to do with just destroying people's work ethos. It really has. That's a serious thing now. I mean, I still think people...
less?
I think people are, the minute the sun comes out, people go out and schlob and drink craft beer and don't think about anything.
Yeah, definitely COVID has affected how people go out. There's not as many people going to gigs.
No.
People are just loving staying at home with their Netflix and their Deliveroo.
Yeah, and they're watching Netflix all night long.
And the thing about it is, if we get a United Ireland, which obviously said we're going to get next week,
yeah,
we won't be even leaving the house anyway. We won't even meet anybody.
No,
It'll be
for
the
all
exact same.
Well, that's true. Yeah, for all the and we're well over the famine. I mean, Jesus Christ. And there needs to be a public, I know this sounds draconian and a bit Juan Paran, but I am into Juan Paran.
Okay, of course you are.
There's a little bit of, I know I'm a Sinn Féiner, but really I'm not a fan of democracy too much. You know what I mean? Because
Is that not true, Sinn Féin?
well, to me as a Fenian, you see Sinn Féin divides into two groups. You got Fenians and you got Democratic Socialists, whatever you're having yourself, progressives. And I don't like the word progressive for a start because I think it's very excluding. But when you say you're progressive, you're like, I'm progressive. Everything I believe is a forward-moving progressive thing. And anyone who doesn't believe every single thing I believe is an antediluvian ape person that doesn't deserve to live. Hillary Clinton called them deplorables. And it's treating people like that. I can't bear it. And the last party that had the word progressive in it was the Progressive Democrats.
Oh, they were great.
Look at the trouble they caused.
I love.
They didn't
Mary
progress
Harney.
very far, though, did they? Unfortunately, so.
They did their bit. They kept stuck in there. Mary Harney was a great speaker. I really admired
Oh,
her.
I love in Ireland where somebody does one thing. One thing.
Okay, I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
That's
I
dreadful.
know.
She got rid of the smoky coal.
I know. I'm completely
Micheál
like
Martin
that.
got rid of the smoke.
Yeah.
No, it was a director from the EU and he brought it in 3 months early and he's been walking saint ever since. He's done nothing else. Nothing.
Yeah, I totally buy into that, especially with women. If they do one good thing, I'm like, she's amazing.
Fairness.
She dresses great. Theresa May, what a legend. But yeah,
No.
I mean, he seems sound. If I feel at any level I could have a pint with somebody in politics, they're mine.
Everything's charismatic. It's all charismatic and surface. Like for
Seemed
instance,
like a decent person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone goes, oh, the independent. I voted independent. Now, did you look at their Dáil record? Did you look back at the Dáil where they all voted for Fine Gael every time when there was a bit of legislation going? So you've just voted Fine Gael.
Yeah.
Just admit it to yourself. You voted Fine Gael. Just come out and admit it, and that's it.
But it's like when they do in the summer, like Coke with a cherry twist or something. You know, it's like people I think like that feeling of I voted independent, so I know what I'm getting, but it's a little different. You know.
Oh,
But
God,
that's
yeah, I'm
sparkle.
so-
A limited edition Fine Gael.
I think there's an Irish habit of I call it the Ouija board voter. So they walk in and they go, I'm voting Sinn Féin, and then suddenly their hand starts to waver and move, and it goes.
They can't.
They can't do it, and it heads over to somewhere.
To somewhere else.
Somewhere else that they don't know.
I
It's
know
not
where
their fault.
somewhere is, and it's Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. So that's what happened recently. Even though they lost 70 seats and they held firm, I had a big debate the other night with Pat Leahy, and they were all roaring at me because it was like, I don't know what I was like. I was just like Joan of Arc or something. In Dalkey saying you're Sinn Féin, it was like, and I'm the only Sinn Féiner that's going to be here. And they were like, Sinn Féin are no policies. And I said, well, but you don't have to have a policy on everything. And they were like, oh, well, I'm really scared of that. I said, well, what's more scary? A party that has policies on absolutely everything and then doesn't go through with a single one of them. Do you remember when Enda Kinney had his contract with Ireland? He had a contract, 5 points.
That's right. The contract.
And not one thing.
Not legally binding contract.
Like, here's a policy. We're going to build 50,000 houses this year, and then we build 10. So what's better, no policy or a policy that you just don't go through with? I'd like to know. What's better, the lie or the non-committal thing?
And that's probably what Fianna Fáil have been doing very well. We don't know how they feel about anything, but they haven't offended anybody.
Well, put it this way. I would say that Sinn Féin are too authentic, and they're actually too... they're too authentic and they're too moralistic. Sinn Féin should be about broad things like United Ireland, health, housing. That's it. I call it Preparation H. Hibernia, health, housing, the 3 H's. That's it. And everything else follows from that. And then people say, but you have to have a position. But you don't, because Fianna Fáil don't ever have a position on anything.
No.
Micheál Martin's all pro-abortion, and then the whole party could be anti-abortion, and then it's like, sure, that's it now. The people have spoken. And the funniest thing of all was in this local election, the amount of time that prime time in RT said using the word populism. Populist parties.
Yeah, that's become very popular itself
Populist.
recently. Yeah.
Popular is a good word. It means you're doing things that people want you to do.
We were talking about this. So like it's always struck me as why politics is populist. That is the point. You literally put it to people and ask them to choose their favourite. How is it not populist?
Exactly.
Well, I suppose if you're talking about someone like Thatcher, who would consider herself, let's always go back to first principles, and she was always like a very old-fashioned capitalist. So everything filtered back to what is the free market capital answer. She wasn't populist. You know, she didn't see what will the people like and then give it to them. She told them what she wanted to give them. Then manipulated them with a few foreign words.
She did
Once
populist
she
things.
was in power, but that was once she had the power, not
Yeah,
to
but
get
she sold
into
people
power.
their council houses like we did here.
Yeah.
And then they all became millionaires overnight, or half millionaires overnight. And then it was like, yeah, I like Thatcher. She's great. and our populism was in this election. And everyone's going, oh, this populist rubbish from Sinn Féin. I'm going, geez, what's the 2 most populist things?
No, definitely Fianna Fáil.
No, Fine Gael. Simon Harris, the ultimate populist. 2 things he did. recognising Palestine out of the blue. Like, that's it. Great. Haha, stole a march on all the left parties, People Against Profit, Labour, Purple Labour, Sinn Féin, you're finished. I did it. Ha ha ha, look at me. Secondly, they give a massive pay rise to civil servants in January of 2024. And the first big paycheck arrived the week of the election. 10% pay rise. They bought 350,000 people and bought their vote.
And they will vote because they're not off in England doing a gig. They're
No.
not self-employed and struggling to get an order in. They're not running the shop. They have an hour to go on their extended lunch break and vote.
But they will set the out of office, though. They'll be diligent about
they'll
that.
set the annual leave. But they bought the vote. So that's two massive populist things done by Fine Gael, and they're going, but we're the fiscal rectitude ones. And then they'll turn around and go, and like Claire Byrne shouting, where will you get the money for that to Mary Lou? Where does Fine Gael get the money for everything? They seem to have money for everything. Everything.
Paddy, for the good plain people of Ireland, what should we all be doing in our own lives if we wanted to bring about a united Ireland? Aside from going to your show.
Going to my show and going to paddycullivan.com and seeing all the ticket links for all my shows.
It's a great first step, everyone.
It's a massive first step. It's a life improving step to come to my shows. And you know, because I did the murder of Michael Collins in the past. I did the murder of Wolfe Tone, and then I did one about the year of the French coming here. But then I decided I'm going to deal with the future, because I was touring those shows around the north, and it was all like, there was tons of Protestants and Presbyterians coming to my shows about the 1798 rebellion. So there's a huge interest up there, and friends of mine are doing a walking tour. I think you've done the walking tour in Dublin.
Great.
Sean Napier and Colm Dore.
Recommend it.
And people, like, it's people are really getting interested in this time again. You know, I'd love to do a Netflix TV show on 1798 rebellion, because the stories are incredible, and there's loads of riding. And,
Brilliant, which is always important.
Children out of wedlock, and like rich guys like Lord Edward Fitzgerald becoming Republicans, cutting his hair short in Paris after witnessing the death of Louis XVI, and coming back with his hot girlfriend, and then everybody else cuts their hair short because they're copying.
The croppies.
And they're all called the croppies.
Yeah.
And so when the redcoats want to catch you during the 1798 rebellion, they
just
just
look
have
for
to
your
look at your haircut.
This was a really
They hadn't
bad
thought that through.
thing that Irish people did. I mean, if you had the cropped hair, you were a croppy. Then
Yeah.
they had the white boys, not a good idea. Then even the Parnellites had the Parnellite beard.
Yeah, but they're still around. They
Yeah.
generally live in Dublin 8.
They're hipsters.
And they drink craft beer. Yeah. Just get a goddamn beard trimmer. It drives me crazy, because I was the first person in my peers to grow a beard.
But you're going to say the first person in Ireland.
No, well, probably the first at that time. You see, we came out of a period of clean shavedness, and I was the first one, and I thought I looked great with a beard. And then every arsehole on the planet started growing beards. Even those guys that don't even have beards. You know, the guys that don't even have them. They're just kind of wisps.
Yeah, that
Kind
does
of the-
annoy me all
the
right.
hairless people, and
Yeah.
even and then now even they're out to here like this. And the terrible thing is, it looks very Islamic fundamentalist as well, which I think is. So I'm not saying that Charles Stuart Parnell was an Islamic fundamentalist, but
You can't say he wasn't.
you can't. I mean, if he'd grown up in wherever,
Who knows? We're a
knows?
product of our
Mosul.
circumstances, are we not?
he might have been.
Yeah, you've heard it
So
here first.
after people have gone to your show and they're bought in to the anthem, what else? What did they do?
I just think they need to think. I like the Noam Chomsky phrase, optimism over despair. You know, we keep thinking about now, and then the problem is, even as a historian and a comedian, I was doing a lot of shows about the past, and I'm very much into the past and history and righting the wrongs of history, and my shows are based on how bad history came out of lies and bad press and papers and everything. But I now want to think about the future. There is a certain point where you go, okay, we got to put that all to bed and start thinking about the future and how we solve things now. Like, why don't we have a high-speed rail in Ireland? It's kind of crazy for such a rich country.
We don't even have a low-speed rail to
No,
Donegal.
to still be
There's
trundling around.
No rail.
No rail to Donegal. Nothing in the Northwest. I call it the government's NWC GFI initiative, which is the Northwest can go fuck itself initiative. But there's no
I think
motorways.
was a policy for many years.
Oh yeah, it is the policy, but that's from partition too.
Yeah.
You see, partition wrecked the country. All the motorways in the north go east to west. They don't link south except for Dublin, Belfast. But there used to be train. There was 250 miles of train in Donegal. You know, the Fianna Fáil had this horrible thing. The Brits built that, but they didn't. Sure, Irish people built. You think James Gandon got down his hand and his knees and built the customs house by himself?
was
No,
a
bunch
real-
of Irish people.
Real
did that.
micromanager.
Yeah. I'll do it. You're crap.
There's only one way to do it if you want a good job done, and that's to do it
Yes,
yourself.
and the Franchini brothers, I'm doing the fireplace as well. Fuck off. No, just no. It didn't happen. The Irish Labour built those mad little winding rails into Dingle and out to West Cork and in Donegal, and to get rid of it was just madness. And the fact that we just sit here going, oh, that's normal. It's normal to not have railway to Donegal. So we have to start really, and a big part of it is NIMBYism. We have to stop the whole objection culture. Oh, I don't like that fella doing that. I don't want the fella building the house there. Now, you don't want to be like Guidor, where it looks like someone kicked a bucket of Lego down a hill. But at the same time,
Tá broner in winter, Guidor.
we have to stop. We have to stop objecting and stopping, and this includes Sinn Féin, and this includes everybody. We have to let things be built and done. You know, one of the protests about the Dublin Metro is that Trinity, it might shake their instruments in the science lab. If it shakes, the digging shakes their instruments, they might get bad results.
Now that might be pretty okay. I mean, I don't want somebody coming up with a cure for cancer and then the train goes by and it's.
I don't care if the digging of the metro tunnel makes a sinkhole in which Trinity completely sinks entirely, goes through the core of the earth and ends up in Wuhan, coming out in Wuhan. And so that the Book of Kells is on a display with the pangolin and the fucking bat.
I'd say you would actively encourage that, to be honest.
I want Trinity to be set up in Wuhan and they can fuck off because they're historians. The stuff that they came up with about Wolftown was rubbish.
It's good to see you're not bearing a grudge about that, though.
Well, there's no grudge. No, it's just why are you like I met an incredible academic last night, Brendan O'Leary. You know, I based a lot of my work on his studies and the Aaron's project about talking really to unionists and really to people in the South about what everything is. And he's a fantastic historian, and he saw my Wolftown show and he goes, Jesus Christ, you've done a really good bit of research going right back to the start, right back to. I think the problem with academia is that they just kind of. It just becomes an agreed thing like everything else. You know, they all just go, well, I agree. And then the lie becomes too big.
To ever question it.
That they can't question it because it would their whole ethos would fall apart. So it's tough that way. So, you know, we've got a lot of those things in Ireland, you know, this kind of trudging civil service, this trudging academia, this not building things, this objecting to things being built. The place is moving at it's all down to the annual leave emails. I'm just saying, we've all this money in the world, but we're not doing anything.
Yeah. But do you think, honestly, though, is the NHS functioning much better in the North? Like, is this kind of a utopia that you're saying it's all working perfectly up there?
A woman in Dalkey said, we'll never join this up because the NHS is great. No, I did a gig, at my last gig in the Black Box, a woman had a stroke in the middle of the gig. Not because of my gig.
But to say, put that on the poster.
Just because of her own life choices.
It's because of her very old age demographic. That's our history.
I have to say, it's a sea of grey that comes to my gigs. But I tell you something, they're the last people with money in this country. They're the last people.
Buying that merch.
Yeah, there's no blue hairs coming to my shows because they can't afford it. But, you know, so God bless the old. And stay being old. Keep getting older. Keep coming to my shows. Hold firm. Don't eat that cake. Don't eat it! And yeah, so it's what was it? Where was I saying? I was completely lost.
The NHS. I was
so this woman
gently probing that is the NHS that great, Paddy?
No, this woman had a stroke at my gig in the Black Box in Belfast. We eventually got her out of the room. I'm sorry, we delayed the show until she was able to be moved. And then it was 4 hours for an ambulance to get to her, and the hospital is 5 minutes away. Wow. So Boris Johnson has holidayed the NHS in the North as well. It's in trouble, no matter what they say. It's still free at the point of whatever, so they're happy with that. But you know, it's a mess as well. We just need to have an all Ireland thing and make a brand new health service for everybody.
Yeah,
like it is about optimism and about like stop this kind of there's a cynicism. You know, even Pat Leahy turned around the other night and he was great. And he said, I don't really think people in the South think about the North, but they do, and people in the North think about the South, and you can't have Patrick Keelty present the Late Late Show and just bringing Nordies on the whole time without Southern people engaging with it.
Well, we ignored them for years. Once the Republic was established in the 20s, it was like out of sight, out of mind. You know, you had the gun running, you had minor instances, you had refugees coming down. There was an awareness of it. But my awareness of the towns of Ireland, it's all based on the 26 counties. I don't really have an emotional connection with the 6 counties. And when we were small in the 90s, or maybe for you in the 80s, Paddy, it was considered to be dangerous to go to the north. Like, we went on a school tour there in 1997. A lot of parents wouldn't let their daughters go to sing in a choir for peace. Yeah, just in case something would happen to us.
I love them old peace choirs.
Yeah, peace choirs. It worked. I mean, very soon afterwards. I'm not just Good Friday garment. What can I say?
It's all your fault. It's all your fault.
No one's thanking the choir girls.
Yeah.
I'll ignore the rank ageism and I'll replace it with the silver fox. Thank you. And I saw Lough for the first time last year.
Really?
So you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I've been
Yeah.
going to Belfast and Derry places. So I was frustrated with the art centres. So this guy got in touch from a JA club, and like I do JA clubs now, and they're full. You go up in there like they beat and guiltify their
Yeah.
their members.
They'll turn up.
Yeah.
To say, you've had the match, you've had the drinking, now you'll go to the lecture. And so the place is full. So I was in Mahara, and then I was in Port Glenone, and all these places I've never seen, and they're incredible.
Beautiful places up there.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. I remember when Northern Irish tour sports started to open up in the late 90s, they have that slogan,
You'll never know
unless you go. Yeah. And
Yeah, because I think we need to get beyond that. Like it just embarrasses me that the biggest tourism draw in the south is a brewery, and that the biggest draw in the north is a museum to a ship that sank.
yeah.
If Sinn Féin failed at the next election, I will have to take over as dictator, and seize power. Because this PR system is garbage anyway. It was brought in by the Brits. When Sinn Féin won 67% of the vote with 49%, the 67% of the seats with 49% of the vote in 1918, it
Yeah.
scared the Brits so much they brought in the PR system
Oh, I didn't
Okay.
know that.
in the local elections of 1919. And we
Proportional
adopted it.
representation for PR,
Yeah.
not a public relations firm.
Where as recently you can vote 21 times in order of preference, which to me is not a choice. To me, I like him and him and him. And whereas in Britain you can kind of
Or
go,
her, you can like a her as
Or
well.
them.
Or
fair
them.
enough, okay, if you have to. And it's so funny. I sell these United Irishmen memberships, and there's always a woman who comes up, why don't you call it the United Irishmen and Women? And I go, because it's 1798,
Yeah.
and they didn't, and we didn't fit it on the page, and it would look shite, and stop with it. Let's go back to the old biblical tenet that the word man includes women. When we talk about man, it includes
It's
women.
all of us.
Everyone's included. It's actually more inclusive than separating everybody out into different fucking names, which drives me crazy. Which is what the problem we have. That's why I changed the tricolour in the show as well, because it's all about identity politics. Green, orange. Why are we dividing
What
ourselves?
is your tricolour?
There is no tricolour.
What's the
It's
flag then?
a singular symbol. Protestant, Catholic at the centre, united in the common name of Irishmen under one symbol, the harp. Yeah.
Beautiful.
The harp. We would be the only flag in the world with a musical instrument, a cultural entity, as our symbol. Not some else stripes or...
Can
things.
it be a harp with boobs like the Ryanair one?
The harp with tits is a very important symbol, but I've refined it a bit to make it less Molly Malone.
Okay.
And see, this is the problem. Ryanair has stolen that symbol.
Harp
Guinness
with
have stolen the
tits.
symbol. I want to bring it back.
Make it ours.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, the weird thing is that, Erin Gabra was the symbol of the United Irishmen, and yet she wasn't wearing a bra. So I have a symbol.
I don't think bras have been invented then yet.
Well, Erin Gabra, I have a bra on the harp with tits for Erin Gabra, and then an Erin Gano bra with it off. So that's how it works, because these things are important.
We'll have to get these visuals.
Yeah,
we'll
it's
have
more of
to-
a
we'll have
visual
to-
thing.
yeah.
Sorry, guys. But no. These are all very important things, but I don't know where we were, but all I know is where it's going is that an optimistic, happy, agreed future instead of agreed despair. There's this kind of cynicism I can't bear at the moment. And this is what I was saying at the talk the other night. No one's thinking about this and no one wants that. Well, then give it to them. Just give them an optimistic vision of the future. People need to see these things. And when I take over as a dictator, I will have to, I'll be saying like
Forced
that.
optimism.
I'd be saying, lads, stop protesting about people taking your jobs when you're not doing a job and you're here all day not working. Here's a fucking shovel. Now dig the Dublin Metro. Now let's get everybody working. Let's get everybody working in a common purpose. Let's get some national service going after school or before college, so that teenagers aren't coming out going, well, I want to fuck about. I want to sit in the Dundrum shopping centre all day.
This was all going well till we got to the gulag portion of the vision.
Well, I mean, this is funny. People think that when Sinn Féin come in, there's going to be like re-education camps. I'll settle for education camps because people know fuck all. That's why I'm going out there educating people.
A final word, Paddy, on United Ireland. What is the one thing you want people listening to this to really take away, aside from going to your show, to take away and consider?
Well, the reason I called it I Can't Believe It's Not Ireland is because, well, a friend of mine gave me the title and then someone said it's Rob from Patrick Healty or whatever, but I don't care because we're paying him now out of our taxes, so it's fair swap. And people still can't enter the competition, which I find ridiculous. But the reason for that was, I think what I've learned from all my shows is that people get into a kind of a psychosis or a pattern thing where just because we got a country in 1922 and we decided the tricolour is our flag and we decided Iran Navian's our anthem and we decided that's only 100 years old. That's a conjured up thing. And countries are conjured up things. They're made up things. There's very few little things to tell you what a country is, apart from the people in it. But it is those symbols. The symbols are important. We've an opportunity now if we bring the two things together to make a brand new country.
What about Ireland's called? And we have that wonderful,
No.
bland, generic, could apply
No,
to any
can't.
country anthem.
Exactly, but all anthems are about the same thing. Even that lyric in that has "We will fight until our final moment" and all of this. Like it's always about death and fighting. Why are all anthems about crushing the enemy and us winning? So the new lyrics I have lyrics about land of poetry and wisdom and across the seven oceans. Irish skill and vision built the nations of the earth. Like our building, our love, our poetry, our love for peace, cherishing all the children. These should be in our anthem, not this ridiculous
blood
thing.
and guts.
And like, why do we have to sing Fianna Fáil? Like, it's horrible to have to sing Fianna Fáil.
Well, they're not hot on social media, Fianna Fáil, but they have implanted their name into the national anthem.
national
and that is
anthem.
the best marketing ever.
Exactly.
Give
So
it to that.
So what I'm saying is, like, optimism over despair. Forget about all this kind of cynicism and that'll never happen. This and no. Just think about almost treat the country and treat the vision the way you'd want a good relationship to be.
So do you want a vision board for the
Treat it
United
lovingly,
Ireland?
Treat it lovingly and caringly, and go. What is Ireland worth? If you're an international socialist like People Against Profit and people like that, you just think, actually, we're all just people on a different rock. We're just one people on a rock. Or do you value it as something really, really special and important? And then once you start with that and you treat it accordingly, apply the tidy towns ethos.
Tidy island.
Tidy island, tidy life, tidy everything. As Beyonce said, gotta keep it tight, gotta keep it right.
And on the words of
Beyonce.
someone we can all get behind, on the words of Beyonce.
Yes.
Thanks, Beyonce, for contributing to the podcast. Thank you so much.
Míle
Magat.
Fodrick.
Or as they say in Belfast, GRMA.
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 Perfect. Thanks so much.
Well, that was quite the chat.
That was chatty bang bang. That was the Chattanooga choo choo. I did not expect that much chat, but it was absolutely brilliant. So what did you learn from that?
I actually feel a lot more hopeful about it, I have to say. I mean, obviously, Paddy knows a lot about the subject and has done a lot of research and is a historian, so that's helpful context on things. But particularly this event, he was talking about hearing all of the different people from different parts of Irish society all there discussing what the future could be for the island. Yeah, I didn't know that so many diverse groups and opinion people who I would have thought wouldn't be interested in that conversation per se, that they're all in there trying to figure this out. That for me, makes me think it probably is going to happen sooner rather than later.
And the fact that there's Americans interested, and once you get the Americans interested, that's it. It's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks, USA.
Thank you very much.
What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, it gave me hope. It made me feel like it could be done. Made me feel like Paddy is going to become a dictator, and maybe that's the only way we can do it. But it's definitely insightful, informative, and it's also fun. It made me feel like it could be fun. We get to pick a new anthem, we get a new capital, we get to rethink things that were just kind of maybe Ireland of the past, being much poorer than the UK or the Great Britain at the time, had to just accept whatever was there. A few old postbox were painted green and that's it. But now Ireland with money, we have a chance
what could we be?
to have an impactful Instagram country.
Instagram country.
Yeah.
It's truly the dream.
Yeah.
It does. When I think about this, I do have a weird attachment to the anthem and things. And
Yeah,
that's
me
the
too.
Sort of thing I feel like, to get rid of the anthem. I don't know how I feel about that now, but I think the perspective of this was all created, which I knew 100 years ago. None of it's that old, really. So maybe we could challenge ourselves to think beyond. Yeah, especially I think depending on where you went to school, and I was in Gael school now that were quite Republican ethos.
Ditto. Yeah.
We really loved Iran Navian and the tricolour and all of that. So it's also, you have to sort of disconnect from those symbols yourself, I think. And if you want a more inclusive future, which it would have to be if this is going to work, then you do have to detach, I guess, from some of the symbolism of the past.
Yeah, I mean, Paddy really harks back to the Wolf Tone Ireland, the United Irishmen, where they were mostly Protestant, Presbyterian, and dissenter. Whatever dissenter was, I think it was like one guy who didn't go to a church or a chapel. So we have that basis already. It's been done before, so we can go back to that. And yeah, excited. I'm excited about, as we now call it, a UI, United Ireland.
And also, it isn't so binary anymore. You know, it was Catholic, Protestant. Ireland has changed. Whatever part of the island you're looking at, we have many religions here in Ireland. We have many different communities so bringing that into it as well. It isn't just this either or. Like, what could a future be that is inclusive of anyone?
Gender fluidity is big. Now we have, people are working from home, people are digital nomads. Why not be a nationalist nomad? One day you feel like a nationalist, one day you feel like a loyalist, whatever you want. It's all there for you,
I was more thinking like we have many people who are not Christian as well. Like they should feel included in whatever the future is as well. This assumption that you're either Catholic or Protestant.
Yeah.
We take that as synonymous with nationalist or unionist, and it's, there's a bit more of a mess in the middle there, maybe.
Definitely.
But yeah, I'm feeling way more hopeful, honestly, than I thought I would.
Tá dóchas I mo chríonis agus mé ag leanú to raig le ma héal mar náisiúnach agus poblach tánach ar nóig. So sinna bhfuil tá muid críochnatha.
Tá muid críochnatha. Gur míle mac with.
Slán go fólín. Gnáir an bóthar libh.